It's the Dr. Cloud Show, and it is a new week. It is a Monday. I always like to say that on Monday because I don't know what your situation is, but a lot of times if you're because sometimes people are in traumatic situations where it doesn't matter what day it is, you're still in an awful, awful circumstance. I've got some friends very close to me right now that are going through that. But for a lot of us, a lot of things can be reset because we do have choices. And one of the things that we have choice about is we can wake up on Monday and say, all right, this is a new week. I don't know where I was last week, but I'm going to do some stuff differently this week. And so anyway, I kind of like that Monday. Remember wasn't it the Bengals? And how does it start out? Come on, Albie, help me out here. How does
Just
Manic
another
Monday?
manic
Just
Monday.
another Manic Monday. Wish it were Sunday. Remember that? You should Spotify that song or Apple Music or something. That'll get you going. No, actually, that's the opposite. That's depressing. But I want this to be a good day. So anyway, let's make some new direction today on the program. Let me give you the number. This is for those of you who are new listeners or listeners or viewers or whatever it is we do here. My thing is upside down. I've got to fix this here. I won't be able to read the callers' names that are coming in here. This is this is a call-in program, very structured, very disciplined, as you can see, very highly produced. This program. No, actually, we started in lockdown, and I'm here all by myself, trying to make it all work. 844-940-2774 is the number. 844-940-2774. 844-940-2774 to get on the program, talk about life. This is the show where problems come, hopefully, to be resolved. That'd be a good wish. Hopefully to be, if they can't be resolved, the next step figured out, maybe a little perspective. And we do that by sharing. We do that by sharing our stories. If you live in your head only, you are in what physicists call a closed system, and things only get worse over time in a closed system. They only get worse. So open up the system, start to talk about it, get a little intelligence from the outside. Probably not at this number, but there are some shows that will provide you some intelligence. At least, I don't know. I'll say good morning or something. Anyway, hopefully find something that helps. And then we get a lot of support from the audience on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. The audience will come around you and give their advice and opinions and experience and all that. And we get better. This is a place where we're fighting dysfunction, one dynamic at a time. So call us, 844-940-2774. A couple of announcements. Guess what? We're getting closer. July 14th, 2-hour live webinar right here, you and me, on one of my favorite topics. I hate to even call it a topic. To me, it's my life. The topic is restoring your brokenness, joining faith and mental health. And what I mean by one of my favorites, no more than that, really my life is, this is what my entire professional career has been about, trying to be the best psychologist I can be and as informed as I can be and work hard at all that. But for me, it never was just about psychology, because we're spiritual beings and we're more than, the material stuff up here, the brain and the neurotransmitters and all that, and the software and personality structures and all that kind of stuff that we talk about. We're more than that. We're immaterial beings with a spiritual nature. And not only that, I 105 million% believe that this brain of yours, this really complicated brain, I mean, if you've ever studied it, it will blow your brain up studying it with the complexity of the systems that are in it. I think that thing didn't come out of just, non-designer goo that took all this time to become turned in from, not even a well-formed booger to Einstein's brain. Yeah, that's going to happen without a designer. Give me a break. All right. So point is, our designer who made your brain and your emotions and all of that, just like, go buy yourself a car, you look in the glove compartment, you got robbed if there's not an owner's manual that came from the factory. The people that made the thing tell you, hey, punch this button and this light will go on. Punch that button and then the car will do this. There's a designer's manual. And I think God did that for us. And so when we begin to understand the ways that he designed us and the ways that we're supposed to function, then it will affect our psychology, our psychological well-being, our relationships, our clinical lives. And so this webinar is about how those go together, and very practical, not just theoretical or theological, but very practical paths to restore your brokenness through joining your faith with that, or at least how I look at faith. Okay, that's what it's about. July 14th. Sign up, 2-hour webinar right here. Go to this website, www.boundries.me/restore. Notice I did not say .com, it's .me, boundries.me/restore. And while you're there, check out the boundries.me website, because if you become a subscriber to that website, we talk about stuff on this show. Well, this is just the tip of the iceberg of all of the further content that you can get on there by becoming a subscriber of boundries.me. So that's what we are up to, and I can't wait. July 14th. If you can't watch it live, you're snoozing during that hour or doing something important like work or family or whatever. It doesn't matter. Sign up for the live event, and then you can stream it at your leisure. At your leisure? My pastor yesterday said that some people are into leisure, pleasure, and treasure only, which I like all those things. I like leisure. I like laying around at the beach, and I like pleasure. I like feeling good, and I like treasure. I like to have a few shekels in my pocket to go to dinner out somewhere. Anyway, those are good things, but our life ought to be more than that, right? And so that's what that event's about, getting well. All righty, that's what we're up to. We are live, and if you can't listen to the program live, it sits there 24/7, 365. So we have, you know what? I got the nicest gift from a listener in Germany. This came to me Friday, I think. She sent it in a customer service, and she's a painter. In fact, I'm going to pull that up, and you know what? Maybe we should get her permission. She painted. So we got a new Doberman during lockdown, a puppy, 11-week-old. Now she's a big Doberman. It's been a year. But when she was a puppy, I brought her on the camera and held her up like this, and one of our listeners painted a picture of me and Finley, a portrait of me and Finley, and she sent it to us. But what she said was what I want to share with you. She said she discovered the program, and she binge watched 90 episodes of this program, just to kind of learn about the dynamics. And I thought, wow, that's somebody that's really into growth. And that's a cool thing. So that's what we're about here. And we're going to keep doing it. All righty. So every day I start out with a little bit of a thought for the day. And we were talking about this with the team. We were talking about some different topics that we hear people discussing and experiencing a lot, and kind of how we select those. Some of it's my own work and things I'm reading or studying, or my life, or a consultation I'm involved in. But here's one that we want to talk about today that we all resonated with, and it's this: Unresolvable. Unresolvable. How do you do with that word? Unresolvable. You know, there are some conflicts that don't get resolved. There are some situations that don't get resolved. There are some disagreements that don't get resolved. In fact, the marriage research shows, I was studying this not too long ago, that the happiest marriages are the ones that recognize that there are differences that the two people have that are unresolvable. And they have learned to accept we're very different in these ways. And we have unresolvable differences. In other words, we're not going to hop into a blender and kind of become, a mixture of the two of us. There are a lot of ways in which we do compromise and come each other's ways. But there are things that are just, they're going to be different. And what the healthy marriages do is they accept those differences and they find ways to work with them. Some of that is compromise, but some of it is just acceptance and don't step on each other's toes in those areas. But there are some things in life that are more painful than that, maybe a conflict with a family that or a family member or a friend. It's just unresolvable. Now, why would something be unresolvable? Well, let's start with I started to use a term, I don't know if it's exactly right, but truly unresolvable. Okay. Because a lot of things are unresolvable that are really resolvable. People are so damn stubborn or thick-headed or majoring on the minors. They could be resolved. Okay. You could give it up, flex, get over it, grow up. There's some things that just don't matter and people make them unresolvable. But there are some things that are going to divide. For example, how many martyrs? We talk a lot here about faith, and when I study the history of the early believers in Jesus, and they were told, deny him or you die. Well, that's an unresolvable difference. For them, that's just it. It's not compromisable. It wasn't compromisable. Not going to give on that one. Okay? There are other things we can give on. In fact, in the scriptures, you see people, even the Apostle Paul. I'm gonna get, for those of you who aren't into the faith, I'm gonna bore you here. I'm gonna just give me a moment here, but I love this example because a lot of Christians are so rigid and black and white that they can't even flex where you need to flex, and they judge each other, which is so not only stupid, it's forbidden in the scriptures that they're using to be black and white about. There are some things that are pretty clear, right? But some of them, like if you go to, there's a lot of places, Colossians, Romans, other places. It says, look, there's disputable matters and not everybody agrees on, who even come from the same faith, whether you drink or not, for example, which day you worship on. That one's okay. It says you do whatever you want to and don't judge somebody else that picks another day. Right? Or eating meat sacrificed to idols. Now, that doesn't happen in our local grocery stores very often, but back then. And for some people, this is such a big deal. I can't do that. Well, it says respect that difference and don't blow up a relationship. There's so many things that we don't have to blow up relationships over. But this started with the point that there are some things that we just can't move on. That's okay. That's okay. There's some things that this is where I choose to make my stand. Right? So that's going to happen, guys, in your life. That there are some disagreements that you're going to have to learn to accept each other with that non-compromisable disagreement. Now, hopefully you can do that and you can continue to love each other. Sometimes uncompromisable stances will separate you. And that is both psychologically sound, research evidence based is the new term they use for it, and also talked about in the Holy Scriptures. That sometimes you do everything possible to make a relationship work or to get somebody to face a behavior. Like with an addict. I was working last week on organizing an intervention where everybody affected by this person's behavior is going to come together and strategically take a stand and say that we will no longer tolerate this, and we want to be in a relationship with you. But if you're going to stay in a relationship with us, you've got to be sober. You got to go to treatment. That person may choose not to do that. Well, that's not really resolvable at that moment because they have taken a stand for sobriety. And there are things like that that are going to be unresolvable because you should not give in on certain values. Sometimes that means the relationship is resolvable. You just agree to disagree. But sometimes it means that the relationship has at least a separation in it. Matthew 18, for example, talks about this. You go to the person, you talk about their heroin or their cocaine or whatever the behavior is that's causing them to, the words are, to hurt you, to sin against you. And if they don't listen, then you get 2 or 3 people, and then you get a bigger group, then you do an intervention. And finally, you say, well, then we can't be with you. How do you do with things that are unresolvable? See, if we can't let people go on their own choice of self-selecting out, if we can't handle that letting it go and say, well, I guess we won't be together for a while. I've seen relationships, don't burn any bridges. You know, you can ask somebody to go on the other side of the bridge, say, I'm going to go on the other side of the bridge. And there's a, what do you call those things? A river here between us. I'm not walking over and I'm not letting you come on my side, but you don't burn the bridge. There's no such thing in the Bible as a burned bridge. There's always a way back. One of my favorite verses in, I think it's in 1st or 2nd Samuel, describing God. It said that he is a God that always devises a way for the banished person to come home. That's the God we serve. He'll invent ways. Biggest would be in the cross. See, when we banish people or people self-banish out, that's going to happen, people, sometimes. They don't want to be sober. They don't want to stop criminal behavior. They don't want to stop abusive behavior. And that's what boundaries have to prescribe sometimes. How do you do with that? Letting them walk. I remember when Jesus, he was pretty good at this, even though it hurt him. You know, he's described throughout the scriptures as it grieves him when people walk away. But he lets them. It's part of freedom, letting people self-select out and not face their issues, not own them. But you hear this story told sometime, you think about this, there's this apparently really great guy called the rich young ruler. He was a person of apparently position, accomplishment, he was wealthy, he was a ruler of something, you know, the equivalent of a public company now. I don't know. And he comes to Jesus and he says, what do I have to do to inherit eternal life? And Jesus said, well, you've read all the rules. You know what to do. Come on. And he says, well, I've done them all. And Jesus said, no, well, there's still one thing you lack. And that was in his heart. Money was his God. He told him, well, then sell everything you got and give it to the poor. Love people over this idol in your life and follow me. Love God as God, not objects as God. And it said that made him very sad, and he walked away. And Jesus let him go because he can't compromise on some things in order to have a relationship with somebody that's in denial of some reality. So how do you do? Can you get your head around that? Let's take this down to a micro level. That's the macro level. Let's take it down to the micro level. God, how many marriages would be so much better if in the morning before each of you is about to go to work, or one of you is about to go to work, or whatever, and you get in this disagreement or this spat, the healthy marriages say, all right, well, we'll have to come back to this. Let's make a time to talk about this because we got to come back to this. Why? Because it's not resolved. It is unresolved, but I'm going to be able to use healthy compartmentalization, which is a ego function, which is very, very important for us to compartmentalize stuff. It can also be very, very, very destructive because in trauma, things get compartmentalized and we lose access to them. And so then we have PTSD or depression or anxiety attacks when they try to reemerge, right? But what I'm talking about is healthy compartmentalization, which is actually an executive function of the brain, the ability to tend to what I got to tend to now and inhibit everything else. How much better if couples could leave something unresolved and continue to be nice to one another? All right, well, you know what? We're not going to resolve this right now. I don't know if we could because our emotions are too high. Let's take a time out. Let's just leave this unresolved. And let's talk about, tomorrow we've got some time. And then they love each other the rest of the day. No cold shoulders. No freezing them out. No reminders every time they want to ask, where'd you put the Diet Coke? Oh, it's in that refrigerator that you're too cheap to buy a new one for because all you do is spend all your money. So you can use anything for a reminder of an unresolved conflict, right? You can dig up dead bodies or, whatever where that we buried in the souls of this argument. I should say live bodies because it's still alive, it's unresolved. So what about healthy compartmentalization? Can you do that? What if you're a surgeon, a neurosurgeon, and you can't do that? Well, I don't want a neurosurgeon that's got any relationships. Because what if one of them upsets him on a call driving to the hospital? They can't leave it unresolved and compartmentalize it and carve out the right part of my brain. See, we've got to be able to leave things unresolved sometimes. And there's some people who just can't do it. They will hammer you till the cows come home because they can't let the cows be out there in the field and say, we'll get them tomorrow. They'll be fine. Or sometimes they're not fine. They're not coming home. We can't find them. That's unresolvable, and let the cow go. See, we got to have the flexibility to deal with life that's not predictable and that's imperfect. And if we have cognitive rigidity or an inordinate need for closure at every moment of the day with every piece of lint that falls into our existence, then we will be unmanageable and unhappy. And sometimes you got to just let people go. As Paul said in Romans, I'm going to guess 13 or 15, He said, in as much as it depends on you, be at peace with everybody. But notice that phrase, in as much as it depends on you, meaning sometimes you can do everything you can do, and you're still not at peace. It's unresolved. So get comfortable with that, folks. And let me tell you one great way to get comfortable with it, in as much as it depends on you. Put your arms around that phrase. No, I have done everything that I know to do. I've apologized. I've listened. I've given options. I've empathized. I've tried to understand. I've gone their way. Everything you can do, it will make it much easier to let it be unresolved if you're standing on the firm ground of having done everything that you can do. What else can you do? I don't know what else to do. Okay. That's great. That'll give you resilience against this. Number two, do everything that you can do in the context of community where you have people and you're asking them, is there anything more I can do here? And they're saying, no, you've done everything you can do. Then you're going to have a good place to stand. You're not going to be second guessing yourself. You're not going to be bad. You're going to be sad. See, sadness is resolvable. Badness is very difficult to resolve when you haven't done anything wrong, but you're still bad. You figure that one out. You didn't do anything wrong. I feel bad. Well, what am I going to do to make it right? Well, there's nothing. I didn't do anything wrong. Oh, I can give in. Well, then I can't do that. Okay, good luck. You're in prison. So get sad, not bad. Connect with others. Get feedback. Do the best you can. And let some things be unresolved. Paul did that with John Mark. Remember that? I think it was John Mark who had worked with him all this time. And then something happened and he said, don't bring him. I can't be around him. He's not helpful to me or whatever. Well, then years later, in another letter, he says, oh yeah, and make sure you bring Mark. He's of help to me. They worked it out, but it was unresolved for a while. We've all had that. All had that. Okay. Let's go to the phones. Lauren is calling us, and she listens on Facebook from Maryland, and she wants to talk about her family. Lauren, welcome to the program. By the way, I got to say, I love your name. I wanted to name one of my daughters Lauren. I think that's like a cool name. Anyway, just thought I'd say that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I'll let my mom know with the fancy
You're
Y.
very, very well. It's accessible, but it has so much like dignity to it. It's like, yeah.
Oh.
Picture Lauren Bacall on the big screen, right? Okay. All right. So you didn't call. You didn't call to talk about that. What is on your mind?
Yeah. Well, I do just first want to say thank you so much for sharing your gift with us, and I hope that you're feeling better with, I believe it's your back and kind of progress there. So
thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. So I am a single gal, late 20s, and at a bit of a crossroads with my job potentially going 100% telework, which would free up where I could live. So I love being near my Maryland. Yeah, so we'll see. But I love being near my Maryland family and doing dinners, birthday parties, kind of the simple things. But I'm also finding a desire to move further south, maybe Tennessee, North Carolina. That's where I went to school. I have some friends down there. It's a bit warmer.
Where'd you go to school?
NC State, North Carolina, Raleigh.
NC State. Okay. Well, sorry. I'm sorry about that Clemson hurdle you got to overcome where my daughter goes to. Go ahead. I'm listening.
That's okay. I think our baseball team's going in the finals, so we'll make up for it there.
All right.
But anyway,
so you want to. This is the first time you will have lived apart from them?
No, I actually just moved back from Chicago because I sensed like wanting to be back on the East Coast, where at least I could drive to them. Like I noticed that, Chicago wasn't feeling the same without having kind of that pillar, I guess, to be close to family. I have nephews and things like that. So Yeah, so I guess I just don't want to look back in my life and realize that I've made decisions based on my family at the expense of what I truly want. But it's tough for me to separate my desire to be near family with my desire for my own life. And so I guess my question is, how do I identify what it is I want when sometimes these things intertwine but are sometimes at odds with one another? That's really tough.
What where is the conflict 100% internal?
I think so.
Okay, so you're
Like,
you're not getting any manipulation or guilt or pressure from the family. This is all
oh no,
you, and you've got conflicting desires.
right, correct.
Okay. Well, let me give you the biggest space creator for this kind of conflict. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Take a note.
You ready?
I'm ready.
There's no right answer.
Dang it.
No, I'm serious. No, that's good. Dang it. See, you just did it because you wanted to go back to childhood where things are right and wrong. Adulthood is where we have options among very many choices that require wisdom, and there's no right or wrong.
Mm.
So, I mean, I'm not pointing you out as any, in a pejorative way. All of us want to sometimes, in the face of ambiguity or anxiety, we want to regress to what is secure. And what's more secure than having a right answer, right?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So, but here's the good thing. All right, now I gave you the hard medicine. You ready for the ice cream cone?
Yes, always.
There's no, there's, you know, there's no right answer. That's the hard medicine. Here's the ice cream cone. There's no wrong answer.
Mm.
All right. Now, when we take right and wrong out of it, what does each one feel like?
Mm. I guess another thought is that it can all be seasons. I am a woman of
You're
faith
what?
and I'm
You're what?
a woman of faith. So a woman of faith. So I do believe that like the spirit does prompt certain things, and so I'm wondering if
Uh-huh.
maybe my desire to be close to family right now is like for a season, like while my nephews are growing up. And maybe all these other options or potential moves to go down south isn't completely off the table, but will maybe be later down the road. I
Okay.
don't know.
So
I'll just
here's
sit with
another.
that.
Sit with that. Here's another very important principle. By the way, are you on a headset or something?
No, I'm on my phone.
No. Okay, just directly into the mic. Okay. Here's another principle. Sometimes we will find good reasons, like it'd be great to be close to my nephews while they're growing up, and that's a good reason to not do something that we're really not doing because we're afraid of it. I'm not talking about you here. I'm talking about a principle for everybody else. That sometimes we're afraid of something, and because we're afraid, we go, well, it would be better to be around my nephews, and that gives us a good reason to not do what we're afraid of. Okay, which brings me to my point about you, which it sounded like you weren't doing that. You gave not a fear-based decision for going that route. You gave a love reason, not a fear reason. You said, I might really want to be around them and their growing up years and all of that more than I right now love the idea of pursuing whatever my passions are, because they'll still be there. Okay. That's another principle in decisions like this. Now, the third one is this, though. You want to make it harder?
Sure, why not?
Sometimes we have to consider windows. There's windows of time that close. Those are real.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes people create false windows. If I don't do it now, I'll never be able to do it. BS. Yeah, you will. People go back to college at 80. You know. So I would want you to look at time frames. I'd want you to look at motivation. Is it inside your head or outside your head, and get clear about external factors that are negative. I'd want you to look at where your passions are. I'd want you to look at windows. And I'd also give you another principle here. You'll like this one. This will be the cherry on top. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Sometimes you can have both. Sometimes you can have both, depending on your circumstances. Not everybody can, but you're single. You have a lot of mobility, right? Mm-hmm. Air travel's pretty cheap now.
Right.
You can go visit. You can plan. We have our extended family is I would say very, very close, and we don't live near anybody. Nor do they're scattered all over the country, really. But there are structured times we get together, and everybody stays in touch. In other words, sometimes you can have it all in certain ways. Now, you won't be there to give cookies and milk when they come home from school every day. Like maybe if you live next door, you could. But you got to figure out what's most important to you. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. I left my family at 22, 23 and went to California where nobody was. And that was really, really hard. But there was a calling that I had to pursue. Other people, the family would be the calling that they had to pursue. Nobody's good or bad here. You just have to figure out what you and God are up to in your life.
Yeah. No, that's really good. Of just staying in
Hope
tune
that
with
helps.
Spirit where it's calling.
Yeah.
It does. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay. And by the way, you know those crazy people that go, okay, and they put their hand over their eyes and they go, I'm just going to open my Bible and see the verse. And what's God telling me to do? And they point down to the verse, there it is, right? All right. I'm going to give you two of them. What if you did that? This is to show you there's no right or wrong. What if you did that? And one day, okay, God, speak to me. And you pointed at the verse and it said, Abraham left Ur, not knowing where he was going because God called him to leave his people. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then, or you open up the one that says, he who's left mother or father or daughter will receive many more, where you left everybody to go do what God called you to do on the mission field or whatever. All right. And then the next day you open it up and you take your finger and you go right there. And Naomi is saying to Ruth, you got to go. Your husband's gone. You got to go pursue your own life. No, I will stay with you until you die. You're my mother-in-law. But her husband's dead. She's still going to stay with her. Oh, blessed are you for not leaving your family. It depends on which church you go to. I mean, if you got an enmeshed pastor, they're going to like the Ruth passage. If you got an autonomy entrepreneurial pastor, they're going to tell you to leave her. So good luck with that. That's what I meant by there's no right or wrong. You just got to figure out and hope that creates some space for you. Okay, I got to run.
Okay.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure this will turn out well, whichever direction you go. There's going to be losses and achievements on both sides. All righty. let's go to Rebecca, who's calling us from YouTube in Texas. Rebecca, welcome to the program.
Really nervous. Sorry.
Hello.
Hi. I'm really.
Hi.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Try again.
Hi.
Hi. I got you.
Sure.
Give me like a whole
Okay.
sentence so I can tell if this is working.
Okay. Do you want my question?
Sure.
Okay. So, I'm sorry. I'm really, really nervous.
Oh, that's okay. Let me ask you something before you get started. Are you on a headset or a
Okay.
speakerphone
No,
or any of that? Okay, you're just
phone.
talking into the phone. Okay, great.
Yeah.
You don't sound nervous.
Oh gosh, I can't even hold the phone. My hands are shaking so bad.
Oh, okay. All right. Here's what we're gonna do,
That's
Rebecca.
right.
Wait a minute. Here's what we're
Okay.
gonna do. We're gonna sing
Yeah.
a song. Mary had a
Oh.
little lamb, little lamb. Now, how serious can this thing be if we're gonna sing nursery rhymes? What's there to be scared of?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So now you
All
feel
right.
better, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
What's
My
up?
question is, how do I get to the point of being able to trust my husband again, or even trust myself? Been married for a long time, like 36 years.
Wow.
And last year, found out there had been infidelity for 12 years.
For 12 years. And is this the
Yeah,
last 12 years or 12 years from
Yeah,
36 years ago?
the last 12 years. Now, not consistently. It was sporadic. So it happened like 4
same
times
woman?
in that.
Same woman?
No.
Different women?
Different. Yeah.
With a relationship or without a relationship?
No relationship. Really.
No relationship.
Kind of, but yeah.
Just kind of
So
like,
let me tell you.
like sort of standard sex addict type looking behavior.
Yeah. Yes, and yes.
Okay.
So we're in counseling. I've been almost in counseling for a year, and he has too.
So he's come clean.
Yes, and he's in a 12-step.
Go. That's good. Good.
Yeah, he's doing everything right. I'm the stuck one now.
Well, let's not judge it.
Okay.
I mean, you've been so far. I know some things that you've done pretty amazingly also. And I don't even know the whole story.
Oh.
You have listened. You've been open to reconciliation. You've committed to counseling with him for a year.
Yes.
You're saying you want to look at the blocks inside of you that you think you might have, which we haven't even determined if you do or not. We just know you're not fully on board again, which would be normal. Okay, so I wouldn't instantly judge you or let you judge yourself and say, I'm the stuck one. It sounds like you're the healing one, and you're at a juncture in your healing where you're hitting an obstacle. Can we say that?
Yeah,
that's better, huh?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So what's the obstacle?
I don't feel like I can. I mean, I know he's doing the right things, but
what's he doing? What are the right things?
Well,
he's going to a 12-step.
He's trying to, honesty. There's, telling me if he has, any issues, which she hasn't. Right.
Okay.
For
has he got a sponsor?
About 5 months.
Has he got a sponsor?
Yes.
Is he talking to him?
Yes.
Yes. Being accountable?
Yes.
Working on his issues
Absolutely.
that started it?
Yes. Yeah.
Working on his underlying insecurities and wishes for manhood or whatever he was looking for?
I think so. I mean, yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're right. He's doing all the right things. Is he listening to you and understanding how this hurt you?
That's getting better, but I have a
you kind of hesitated. Wait a minute. Wait. You kind of hesitated because that's the first one.
Yeah, I'm afraid to communicate with them because I feel like something. I don't think he always. I don't know. Like he's gonna say something that hurts me again.
He's gonna what?
Hurt me again.
If you tell him how much this hurt?
Well, no. I mean, I think he knows how much it has hurt somewhat.
Oh, I know he knows, but do you know that he knows that you know that he knows? In other words, look.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
One of the most important things that can happen to rebuild trust is we don't let me say it differently. Somebody doesn't trust us because we understand them. Somebody trusts us because they understand that we understand. So in other words, he might have an awareness, this is really hurtful to you. But until you feel like he has really listened and really, really understands, and you feel like he really understands how painful this was for you, then that can leave a little bit of a gap in being able to open up again. Because we trust somebody when we feel like they really empathize with the pain that they've caused. And that's what good couples counseling provides a space for, is for him to really listen and care about the pain that he's caused. Without being defensive. Now that can get blocked sometimes because you might, for example, feel like, well, he's doing everything right, so how can I dump on him like that? And then you kind of protect him a little bit, but then that kind of keeps the gap going.
Okay.
Is that occurring?
It might be.
Okay. Well, I just mentioned that because sometimes we just want to know that somebody really cares about how they made us feel when they did something that hurt us. It sounds like he does.
He does.
I'm just wondering if that's been talked about enough.
Our counselors talked about that. We're kind of doing separate counseling right now, not together yet. I mean, our counselor felt like we needed to do separate counseling, which I agreed totally with.
Okay, as long as there's somewhere in the picture that there's a focus towards the relationship, that's important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what is? I mentioned an obstacle, but what what is your question about the specific? What's the specific obstacle? If that's not it.
It might be that. I don't want to discount that, but I guess because for all that time, I had just no clue and thought we had a wonderful marriage.
Yeah. That he had the incredible ability to compartmentalize in a bad way.
I think so. So. And so how do I guess, the scary part is not being able to read somebody's mind. That'd be easier if I could. But
Well,
okay.
it would be,
Yeah, I
it'd
guess.
be easier. You know what? It'd be easier if you could, but it wouldn't be as sexy.
No.
Okay, now here's what I mean by that.
Okay.
What's sexier than trust? To
Yeah.
know that you don't have to check up on somebody. To know that he can be out there and have 1,000 opportunities, but he loves you so much that he's going to say no to temptation, and you don't have to be checking up on him because you can trust that. Isn't that sexier than being able to watch his every thought all the time? Isn't that better?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
That's where
it
I
is.
thought we were.
That's where you thought you
Yeah.
were, and that's where you got to get back to. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
let me give you. I'm gonna give you. So I've got a little paradigm here on trust that I'm gonna
Okay.
get a list, and then I got to run. But I want you to. I'm gonna
Okay.
gift you a boundaries.me subscription because this course and others
I
are
already
on there.
correct.
You already got it? Okay, great.
Yep. Yeah.
So trust,
And
real quickly.
watch, but I'll watch it again.
Watch it again and talk to him about it. Talk to him about it. Okay.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
trust somebody when we feel like they understand our needs, our hurts, and the way that their behaviors affect us. If they really get it, it's like, it'd be like a doctor taking out a splinter or something,
Yeah.
and they're going, okay, now tell me if this hurts. Tell me, because I don't want to do anything. And they're really into, am I doing anything that hurts you? They care about that. We trust them. If they don't care, I remember when I went to physical therapy after my knee replacement, it's the worst thing I've ever felt, ever. When she started that first day, she started to move that I thought I was going to die. And I looked at her, the physical therapist, and I said, do you know what that feels like when you move that? She goes, I don't care. What? Recoil? At least care. Are you kidding me? I'm over here dying. So we want to know,
right?
Yeah, we want to know that somebody really understands how it feels. Because then they're not going to hurt you on purpose, or you're going to feel less like they are. Yeah. Number two, what's his motive? When you really feel like he wants the marriage, he wants you, he wants the relationship, rather than he's just trying to get in line because everybody's beating him up, kind of the, sort of. No, he's in this for good reason. It sounds like he is. I mean, from what you've described, right? Yeah. Where you feel like he's for you and he's for the relationship, and that's for him too. That this is what he wants. Number three, where he's got the competencies that it takes to pull this off. He's learning to communicate, relational competencies, impulse control, competencies to learn about recovery and how not to be an addict, competencies to build a support system and engage in it. We see all those skills building. Number four is character. Does he have the perseverance and the understanding and the compassion and the kindness and the forgiveness and apologies and honesty? You said honesty is a big one. All the character piece. And then the last one's a track record. When you see him doing this stuff over time and you guys talk about those things, then that's probably going to help get through some of those as well. And what you're going to do is, especially the track record, then you're going to gradually begin to see the things that build trust. But trust, don't ever equate trust with omniscience, because if we were omniscient, we wouldn't have to have trust.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
That's why we never, it's like God's not taking a risk, I guess, on the human race. He pretty much knows everything. But we have to, it takes faith sometimes, or all the times for us, because we haven't seen him.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I hope that
Yeah.
helps. And I'm going to also suggest you look at my book, Necessary Endings, because it talks about unnecessary endings too. And we can have hope and trust when certain things are in place. And it sounds like that you guys have got a lot of good things in place that you can
Yeah.
trust. I would just want you talking through the obstacles and trying to understand each other. Have him
Okay.
understand your
Yeah.
hesitancy, have you understand your fear, let him answer the fear, be in dialogue without defensiveness. And that usually brings people closer together.
Okay.
Okay. All
Thank you
right.
so. And I'm
Thank you.
already
I
signed
hope.
up for your July 14th thing.
Oh, cool. Yeah, do you have the marriage workshop?
No.
Okay, you do
No, I
now.
wasn't.
I'm gonna gift it
Oh,
to you. Give your address to Albie. I'm
okay.
gonna gift that to you. And maybe you and your husband can watch it together and talk about it. And
Okay. Thank
tell
you.
him, based on everything I know from you, tell him, way
Yeah.
to go, dude. You turned this
Yeah.
around and
I
you're doing the right things. Keep it up. I
yeah.
like to see that. Okay. All righty.
Okay. So much.
Okay. Thank you. This is a Dr. Cloud show. You know, we talked about in the beginning, some things are unresolvable. And then I said, but sometimes what looks like the worst can be resolved when two people come together, and there's forgiveness, and there is hard work, and there is sacrifice. Nothing of value in life comes free. I mean, that is the ultimate, would be the ultimate oxymoron. To think that we could get something as valuable as a good relationship for free? No, not going to happen. And you say, well, love should be unconditional. It is. And once you got it, you've really, 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 really got to serve it to keep it alive, don't you? You know, our forgiveness from God is free to us, but it wasn't free to Him. See, that's why forgiveness is so powerful, because everything of value has a cost. And it just so happens that in that one thing, forgiveness, the one, the injured party pays the cost. That's why it overwhelms us. That's why we can't say, I deserve to be forgiven. Bullshit. That word's in the Bible, so don't send me an angry letter about that. That's just how I feel about it. I mean, you can't deserve forgiveness. The injured party paid the price. They're the ones that went through the pain. They're giving this to you. And when you realize that, it reduces you to humility, where we get something we did not deserve. And that causes us to love back. And then when we love this unconditional gift of love, then we give and we give and we give. And we find out we build value in that relationship by what we do. And that's kind of a sort of a eternal dilemma that people can't put their heads around sometimes, you know? I remember I was talking to a lady one time and she was single and she's dating, and she goes, well, you know, guys, the guys I've gone out with, you know, they're only looking for blah blah blah. And I forgot what her requirement was. I don't know if it was looks or, you know, status or I don't know. But she was upset that some guy she had dated, I don't know what it was. And she said, love should be unconditional. This can go for men or women, so don't send me an angry gender discrimination thing here. I'm not doing that. We'll make it the other way. We'll make it a guy. Okay. Love should be unconditional. I said, really? Is it unconditional for you? Absolutely. I said, okay, well, you want to be married? Yeah. Okay, I'll get you married. Give me a couple of weeks. I'll find the person for you. I can do this. Well, wait a minute. What? I said, you want to be married? You said your love is unconditional. I'll find them. No problem. Oh, wait a minute. What are they like? Who are they? I thought you said it was unconditional. Well, do they have a job? I mean, are they? No, wait a minute. You said it was unconditional. See, a lot of times we throw this stuff around and we don't really think about what we're saying. Now, when you're putting a relationship back together and something's unresolvable, that's going to have great value. But things that have value, even though our love is unconditional, to make that love work is going to take us doing some things that cost us. He's got to say no to his impulses out there when he's tempted. He's got to die to himself. He's got to make sacrifices for this relationship. That's great, but it's work. So some things are unresolvable, but I love to see when people are willing to do the work, that things that they thought were unresolvable are actually very resolvable when people will pay the price and do the work to rebuild a family. And I'm not saying all of you that were cheated upon and this, that, and the other should go back. I'm not saying that at all. Every situation is different. Some of you should run for the hills. Never to trust that person again. There's no reason to trust. But sometimes there is. Okay, real quick, because we're out of time here, but Claire's been waiting for a while. So I want to talk to Claire, who's calling us from YouTube. Claire, welcome to the program.
Hi, Dr. Cloud. Thank you for taking my call.
You're so welcome. How can I help you?
So I've had a very difficult relationship with my mother. She's very demanding, and I moved away when I was 18, and 10 years ago she moved to be closer to me, which has been a very long 10 years.
Now, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Hold on. 10 years ago, you moved away from her?
No, I moved away from her 23 years ago.
Oh, 23 years ago. And you were how old then?
That's when I was 20.
20. So it was very difficult. Is that why you moved away, to get away from her?
No, I didn't know that was why I was moving away. I've learned that.
You were just 20-year-old going, the world is my oyster. I'm going for it, right? And you went for it. You got away from mom, and life was better, right? Okay, so you were,
and 20, and we would talk. We had a close relationship as what I thought. And she moved here 10 years ago, thinking, okay, yeah, she wants to be closer to the grandkids, and she's going to do this and do that. Well, little did I know, she was moving so I could take care of her, so I could do everything for her. And even my kids don't have a good relationship.
Little did I know. Now, wait a minute. This is actually, it's going to sound like I'm judging you, but I'm not. I'm actually this is going to flip in the end to where it's a good thing for you. But you really didn't, you thought she was moving to turn into Mother Teresa for you and your family? What caused that change? In other words, why?
What?
I'm trying to, if somebody's been so difficult and self-centered, that life is a lot better when you're away from them, then they decide to come. Wouldn't there be some part of you that would be, oh crap, unless she had done some major work and turned into
No.
a different human.
Yeah, no, there was a little bit of, oh crap, she's coming. But,
Okay.
she's saying, she needs to leave where she's at, and she wants to, get on her feet. And obviously I had a baby at that point, the whole story. So I'm like, okay, well, this might be good change for her. I've built my life here, and I'm really stable and successful.
Okay.
But
I'm just here's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help you get in the right part of your head where you can see her realistically, that unless there's been some wake up call and enormous growth in her life, I just want you to know who you're dealing with, because that's going to help you to set some limits and boundaries on the stuff she's doing to you now. That's all.
Right. Yeah. No, I understand. I get that. And
Okay.
we obviously, 10 years ago, we went to counseling together thinking that, and like, we need counseling. We need, just a neutral party. And that was a sinking ship. That just was not productive. So I'm at the point now where no, it was not productive. She had it in her mind that I already knew the counselor ahead of time, and she was set up, and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, no. I even found a counselor that was older, near her age, because she was 60 at the time, or in her 60s. And, because if I found somebody younger, then they wouldn't be experienced enough. She's one of those people that she knows more than everybody and everything. And so she's a master manipulator.
This is what I was talking about. This is who you're dealing with.
She's a master manipulator, and her whole life was manipulating my grandma. And when she came to Arizona and I would say no or put my foot down to things, that's when we would fight. Well, we wouldn't necessarily fight. I would just say no, and she would lash out at me with verbal attacks, this, that, and the other thing.
That's what dial tones are for. Oh, you'd give in?
Oh, yeah.
Claire.
She was living in my house.
Yeah, that's what the lock on the inside of the door is for. I'm kidding.
Know.
I'm kidding, but not at some point. Okay.
Well,
when you say no to something and somebody begins to attack you, then, at some point you got to say, look, this isn't going to work if you're going to behave that way. But anyways, what is your question?
So my question is now, okay, she's almost 70. You're going to be 70 here. We live in Arizona. It's very hot. She doesn't have the best health. I really tried to put up, boundaries and kind of stick to them. But she every day she called if I answer, because lately I haven't even been answering. I just can't even handle it anymore. I'm raising 3 daughters myself. I've got teenagers that I feel like I'm in this whirlwind right now with. And so I'm just trying the best way to handle her. Like, if I go to the grocery store for her, I'll say, okay, fine, I'll go to the grocery store. How is it the best way to handle her expectations? Because if she could, she'd ask me to do something for her every day and expect that I do it every day. And when I do it, if I go to the grocery store and I buy the wrong thing, then guess what? I get to be told everything that I did wrong.
Okay.
So do I just, I told her, there's apps on your phone. You can order groceries. You can do this and that. I don't have to physically do it. But no, it's too hot out. It's too this. Well,
Claire,
then you're going to have to wait till I'm free.
Claire.
Help.
This is why I started where I started. Remember I interrupted you.
Unresolvable.
Yeah. No, I'm not talking about where I started the show. Where I started with you was when she said she was going to come. I said, what reason did you have to believe that she had some big epiphany and was going to turn into Mother Teresa for you and your kids? Okay, there wasn't one. All right. And I said that for a very specific reason, which I said in the end was going to turn out to be good for you. So you're going to win here. Okay. Now, once you understand, do we need to talk longer for me to convince you that mom is interested, it sounds like, only in herself? Can we agree on that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, we got that. All right. So here's how you have to look at it when you say, how can I handle her expectations or whatever it is? That's not your job. Her expectations don't have anything to do with this because they're infinite, they're unlimited, they're unreasonable, and they're unsatisfiable, it sounds like, right?
Yes.
So we're going to take her expectations and send those off to the lottery commission because that's about the chances of those getting met. Okay?
Okay.
You with me on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And instead of mom's expectations being our guide, we're going to let love be our guide. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay. So now Claire has got a big pie called her life. And there's different slices of that pie that need Claire's love.
Yes.
3 of those slices are teenage girls, right?
Yes.
Is there a husband in the picture?
Yep. There's a husband.
Okay. Then he's a big slice of that pie. All right.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
Is there a job anywhere?
Yep. There's a job, full-time job.
Oh my goodness, full time. Oh, you got 2 full-time jobs and you got that one and mama. All right. So you got that big slice. Then there's probably are there other people in your life that you want to give to and help or support? You got friends or?
Yes.
Okay. Now, all right. And then mama's got a piece of that pie too, right?
Right.
All right. So that's how we're going to start. One of my favorite verses. It's about giving. It says, give as you have purposed in your heart, as you've made up your mind to do, not begrudgingly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. Begrudgingly is when somebody puts pressure on you and you give in like you would have to do with her, and then you hold a grudge because this is not good. Or under compulsion means pressure from the inside of your head, where I should do this, this is my mother, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to get out of all that and we're going to go to love and purpose. And then what I would want you to do is think about, okay, I have a lot of people and things that are depending on me. Part of that I want to give to my mother. And then I'm going to fill out what that piece of the pie looks like. Okay, mom, I've looked at everything I want to do. Here's what I'd like. And I'm just making this up because there's no right or wrong here. But I'm going to say,
Sure.
why don't I'm gonna come by there. I'm gonna come by there every Friday, and we're gonna go to lunch. Okay, and then why don't you have a list with you of if there's stuff you need, have a list, and that'll be our time that we go to Costco or wherever it is you gotta go or whatever, and then why don't we check in once during the week or something? Now there are other people in their scenarios where the list, my sister, for example, when my parents were elderly before they died, and her pie, she decided that she wanted to serve my parents in a much bigger way than I could or was willing to at that time, or because I was at a different season of life and work and family and all that kind of stuff. She went back and almost took care of them full time. That's fine too. But you got to figure out what that slice is going to be. And that's going to be the expectation, not her guilt or manipulation.
Right. Okay.
So start there and get some good voices around you that don't have the history. Some friends. What do other friends do to help their parents? Because I believe in helping parents. I'm not saying.
Oh,
I'm not saying
right,
flip her off.
absolutely.
That's why we started with love. But I don't want
Right.
her expectations designing the program.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
and it just becomes more than just, you know, giving back and helping out. It's these expectations and manipulation, and it goes on and on.
On
And that's
and
where
on and on and on and on.
Yeah, I've pulled back a lot. Obviously, reading your book Boundaries was a huge eye opener 10 years ago when I thought I was losing my mind.
I can understand, because as you describe her, if nothing is ever enough, then nothing is ever enough. And you will get manipulated and expected into oblivion where there's no you left.
Right. Yes.
And that's why here's your formula: say no and empathize. No, Mom, I can't do that. Well, how can? Oh, I'm sorry, that's frustrating to you. Well, I thought you cared. I know. I'm sorry, it's hard for you, but I can't do it, Mom. Say no and empathize. Don't justify. Don't argue. Don't get defensive. Don't try to make up for it and do 12 other things because you can't do that. Just say, no, I can't do that. Here's what I can do. If you want that, I'd be glad to do it. But no, I can't do that. Oh, I'm sorry. That's frustrating to you. Say no and empathize.
Okay.
All right, Clara?
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
I hope that helps. And get some good friends to call right after you talk to her, and maybe they can talk you out of the some of the guilt stuff. Okay, thank you for your call. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All righty. We are we're actually over time, but I had to talk to Claire because that's such an important issue for so many people, that you might have somebody in your life that expects more than you can give. Imagine that happens. That's why I said expectations can't be our guide. Love has got to be our guide. And you get to choose how and to whom and in which ways and how much you are going to love somebody. You get to choose that. You're not infinite. You're not omnipresent. You can't love everybody all the time at the same time. When you say yes to the marriage, for example, when she and her husband says to the three girls, tonight's mom and dad night, we're going out. Wah, 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 when they were little. Wah, wah, wah. Sorry, this is mom and dad night. When you say yes to love over here, you got to say no to love over there for a few hours. You're not omniscient. You can't love everybody all the time, everywhere, and always, which requires a no. So we don't let their expectations define the love. You define the love. When and how and for whom. And sometimes we have to make some very hard choices, that we're going to take this time and devote our time and energy to this person and not that one. And that's very hard to do. And many times there are not right or wrong answers to that. There's wisdom. But sometimes circumstances. Sometimes you have a family member that's sick and they get all the attention for a while. Other people have to go without. A lot of things mitigate or infiltrate, I should say. But to mitigate against the guilt, you've got to have understanding that there's limitations. Okay, let's say goodbye for today. And I think one more announcement. I want to remind you, where are we? I think, well, we'll be doing something tomorrow. I think it's at the regular time. If it's not, we'll post it. But don't forget the webinar, July 14th. Sign up for it. It is about restoring our brokenness, where mental health and faith come together. I'm going to be talking about what faith has to do with getting well, clinical issues, depression, anxiety, addictions, all of that. And what does our faith have to do with healing us? Well, that's what we're going to jump into July 14th. Webinar live right here. Sign up for it. Go to boundaries.me to sign up for that event. And while you're there, check out boundaries.me. A lot of courses on there. A lot of good stuff. Okay, guys, you are the best audience in the universe. Where are we? I love how your comments to each other, your support for each other on the various platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. And if you listen on the podcast, then thanks for joining us. Share it with your friends. And until next time.